We could talk about that statistic that we were talking about last night.
Which statistic?
The one that Trump tweeted.
Yeah, we could talk about that if you have that information.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't take me long to look up. Trump tweets fake statistic. This happened a while ago too.
Oh, did it? I thought it was recent.
No, he did this. I'm pretty sure he was president.
Do we still want to talk about it then? If
it's not current,
if it's old news.
I don't know. You hadn't heard of it. That's why I thought it was.
Well, I was surprised that I had.
I know, but that's why I would want to talk about it because not everybody's heard about it. It's just one of those things. Just like how.
How do we miss this one?
How does he get away with this stuff? You know.
It's like a blitz. I was gonna use a World War II term, and I'm trying to get away from that. I was gonna say it's like a blitzkrieg of bad information, and so when you're doing so many things, like I can't again World War II quotes. They're not comparable, but it's what it makes me think of, and it was like Stalin.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even finish my first example. I went to my second one. Stalin said that one death is a tragedy, but millions is like ignored. Millions is just a statistic.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And but the Trump administration has like a blitzkrieg of just bad and incorrect information, and so you can't. I mean, you don't have the ability to go after all of it. And some things every now and then slip through the cracks. Yeah,
man, that's just crazy though. It's crazy that's the world we live in, where people really. I mean, you can't blame people. You can't. It's difficult. Period. Like I don't even do it perfectly. I fuck up all the time on what I assume or know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know I do too. Like,
but the difference between you and the administration is they have the resources to identify what they're saying and what they want to stand for.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, I try to just like limit my claims. I try to, so just like don't
live in the ambiguous.
I'm
not sure.
Yeah, like try really hard not to just make claims, because then you have to support that shit, and it's really hard. It's not that I never make claims. I'm just very careful about when I do. And most of the claims that I make aren't my, or most of the claims that I would say aren't my own anyway. So like, like it's not my claim that evolution is the process by which, all biological life share a common ancestry. That's not my claim, right? It's somebody else. Somebody else thought of that first.
But you adopt it, but you're adopting because they've done the work.
Yeah, they've done the diligent work. Yeah, that they need to. So the only claim I'm really making is that you should believe them. That's that's my claim, which I'm willing to support.
Well, so what are the statistics then?
Okay, so yeah, because
people are probably wondering like, what? Okay, well, you're gonna show us the stats?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about it or not, but let's just do the comparisons, because I mean the comparisons are crazy. Blacks killed by whites. Trump's number is 2%. FBI's number is 8%. So that's making it look lower than it actually is.
Yep.
Oh my God, dude. Blacks killed by blacks. 97%, 90%. You said he should have.
Why? So the true number is the blacks are killed by blacks 90% of the time.
Yes.
And the Trump administration said
we have to make that look worse.
They are killed 97% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my remark was, why do you even need to feel like that's an indication of the kind of character and integrity that the administration has when the true statistic is already 90%, and if you're trying to make a point that there's a problem with the African American community harming itself, you wouldn't even need to touch that number if that's the argument that they want to make, which it is.
Yeah.
And they're also trying to say that whites don't commit those crimes against black people. We don't do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Is what they're trying to say. But the maliciousness to change such a number that's already significantly high tells you about the character of the administration, and it's concerning.
Yeah, it is. Whites killed by whites. His number was 16%. The actual number is 82%.
A huge change.
That is ridiculous. And that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. It's like, oh, so the race that you happen to be around the most, because unfortunately black people are highly densely populated on average.
So read that one again.
Trump's number was 16.
For what?
Oh, whites killed by whites.
Whites killed by whites.
Yeah, he
said it was 16%, but the real number is 80%.
82%.
82%.
Yeah. That is ridiculously different. And by the way, like you would have to fact check. So just to make it very clear for people who do happen to listen to this, the source that he uses for this doesn't. It seems to, if I'm interpreting the article correct, and this is one of those times that you could come in and say, no, this is actually how it works. It doesn't seem to exist, right?
What was it called? The Justice Bureau or something?
The Crime Statistics Bureau. And you said from San Francisco. No.
The Crime Statistics Bureau.
Yeah, Crime Statistics Bureau from San Francisco. Yeah, so you can look it up, but you said it might be a crowdsource or something like that?
A think tank.
A think tank. Yeah. So, but the way that the article words it, it sounds like it just, because they said they tried to look it up. Crime Statistics Bureau doesn't exist. We looked for the agency as well, and the closest we found in San Francisco were a number of crime scene cleanup services. So.
Yeah, that's concerning. That.
Well, hold on, one more statistic, and then let's get into so whites killed by blacks. His is 81%. The FBI number is 15%.
15%.
15%. That's one of those things that when I heard it, I mean, there's a few things that I've heard that Trump did that really was like, come on, like something's got to give. There's got to be a reason, like there has to be something he could do that people would be like, like, and I've talked to people about that before, stuff like that, and some of them like laugh it off like it's funny, and I just don't. I don't know if it's like a maniacal laugh, like you're doing it because you want him to mess up stuff.
The only way that I would find it funny is if funny in like a I can't believe this is happening kind of way.
Right.
It's not funny in it's not like a ha funny.
Right. Like I've done that before too. Like you end up having to laugh at the horrible things because it's the only thing you can think to do.
Yeah. I mean, I've laughed at some awful, shit. In my time, right?
Yeah, so have I.
But it's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a celebration of the thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like if I really give this too much thought, it'll depress me. So I really just have to like laugh. I have to just accept that that's the craziness of life, or, that type of thing.
Yeah, this administration is really and it's just, I don't know. For a second I was gonna say, well, how bad would other administrations have looked in the past if we had this amount of information, to be able to like glean things from? But we had the same apparatus when President Obama was in the administration. And it just the level of truthfulness versus one administration over the others is not comparable.
Yeah. And we talked about that last night too.
We're in uncharted water, I think, in terms of what we were talking about was that now Trump administration officials can't even go out in public without being ostracized anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Department of Homeland Security is being followed around by people. There was I think her name is Pam Bondi. She went to the movie theaters to go see Mr. Rogers documentary.
Yep. Yeah.
And protesters followed her out of the thing and was like, so what do you think about like living with your neighbor? And like, how do you treat your neighbor? And it's just like, well, they can't get away. They can't, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked to leave a restaurant. Stephen Miller was kicked out of a Mexican restaurant because they're like, dude, you're going to come in here and eat our food? You said people in
the administration were complaining that they couldn't get dates.
Yeah, staffers that work for the Trump administration were supposedly saying that women are like, I don't want to be with you. You work for Trump.
Wow.
If that's not going to change someone's political support when women start saying, no, I'm not interested in you romantically, man, now we're going to see a shift in demographics now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just this administration has gone down a path that we haven't been used to in a while, and I mean the public's starting to actually push against those people that are actually in the administration. It's interesting to see that.
Yeah. Do you think that the economy is going to get worse or better? It's getting better right now, it looks like. But did you see that the stock market went down 400 points today?
I don't know much about the economy, man.
And neither do I. So I'm just talking out of my ass. I just see this stuff and I'm just like, what does it actually mean? Is it one of those things that just happens? How often does it usually, drop that much? What's the percentage of it? So on and so forth. But it came from Occupy Wall Street, that Facebook page. So very left bias, So, but they were basically trying to make it look like the trade war that he started with England and China was backfiring essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have no clue.
Yet to be determined.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
That's an aspect of our political world in terms of our economics. Mm-hmm. Like our relationship to other countries.
Yeah.
How we're tied to their economies. I don't know. That's not stuff I know much about at all. You don't understand enough about it,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the best I've done is I've read Adam Smith before. So I have read some of his works. And his works are very interesting because he was clearly he was a smart dude. And I think he's distorted a lot because he was clearly for social programs. Mm-hmm. As far as I understand, I've seen quotes by him and he's saying exactly what it seems like a sane person would say, which is yes, capitalism is a good thing. It can drive, innovation and a lot of great things, but you have to be able to return that to social things. You have to be able to use that to create a better society. So you're going to increase the amount of resources you have. You're going to create wealth, but then you have to use that wealth very what's the word? Well, ethically, but strategically, and I don't think that's where they're I think, oh shit, I don't want to mess it up too bad. So I'll just stop right there because I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was for certain social programs that I was like, oh no, I think one was education. I'm pretty sure he said you have to give this, the wealth that is being created to things like education. People need to be educated. It's just oh well, that's a really smart thing to say. Yeah. So why was I talking about that? I can't remember.
We got into talking about the economy.
Oh yeah.
And then you brought up Adam Smith.
Yeah, that's right. And then so I have no clue apart from that.
Why you wanted to go there?
No, I mean I don't really know how the economy works. I know a few things, but it's just
someone's gonna if this ever takes off, someone's gonna compile all these sound bites of us saying things like, I don't know how the economy works, and we're like, I'm not sure about this. I don't know. This is going to be a highlight reel of us being like, we don't know.
We don't know anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's
just 10 minutes of that. 30 minutes of that.
It's not plausible deniability, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
It's something that you get is it virtue signaling? Is it virtue signaling?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we're virtue signaling.
I don't know if it has to be intentional or not. But it's definitely something you should maybe it's probably not virtue signaling in today's society. But it should be virtue signaling. If I understand virtue signaling, what's the definition of virtue signaling?
It's the action or practice of publicly expressing opinions or sentiments intended to demonstrate one's good character or the moral correctness of one's position on a particular issue. So
yep.
You're not espousing a value because you believe in it. You're espousing a value because it makes you look better as a human being.
Right. And so I said I don't know how intent would play behind it. So we weren't actually virtue signaling. But it could be seen as virtue signaling.
Are you trying to do it just to look better?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, no.
I was like, you didn't answer that right. I was trying to save you, and you were like, dude, yeah, I am trying to look better. I threw you a line, man.
Yeah, I know. No, I don't. No, not only that reason, but that is one of the reasons I do it. There's no doubt. One of the reasons I do
to
it.
look like a better person.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it is one
so
of
you're
the
just
motives
admitting
behind
to
it.
your dark side and that little.
Well, I mean, you build ethos. That's how you build ethos. That's how you build your image in people's eyes, is by doing the right thing,
Yeah.
which is or should be just
Yeah, but are you doing?
admitting your
You should be
ignorance.
doing the right thing to do the right thing, not because it makes you look like a better person.
I
That's
just-
what virtue. That's what we're talking about. That's what virtue signaling is.
Yeah, not just to make you look like a better person.
Virtue signaling is doing it to look like a
No.
better person.
Okay, yeah. So then I guess I'm virtue signaling. Yeah,
You're not doing the right thing to do the right thing.
that is also the right thing. The right thing is to. Why does virtue signaling have to be a bad thing?
Virtue signaling is a bad thing because it's selfish, and you don't like your true purpose that you're trying to accomplish is not
No,
the positive intention.
Okay, so let's say that you are. Let's say you're Bill Gates.
Okay.
Okay, you're Bill Gates, and you're going to give $1 billion to somebody.
And so you like the consequence of him doing that, even if he's doing it to look like a to better
No,
his
that's not what I'm
self-image?
saying. No, what I'm saying is, if he's being a smart and ethical person, he's thinking about the fact that he's doing it to help people. That's one of his motivations, but another one is so that he can look better in the public image, because then he can increase his ability to influence them, to
It becomes virtue signaling
gain
if that's
their
his
resources.
If that's his primary motive.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not just my only motive, and it's not my
It's
primary.
not your
motive.
primary motive.
No, it's not
okay,
my primary.
good.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I'm glad we
Yeah,
got
okay.
you out of those
All right, that's-
weeds, man. Like I was just trying to get
It wasn't
you
a
out.
weed. That was just an honest moment. That was just an
Yeah,
honest
yeah.
moment, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my primary though. Yeah, it never was. I'm not just saying that because I want a virtue signal. Well, we were talking about the crime statistics, and then you started talking about how
we're in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
People in the Trump administration being ostracized publicly. They can't go. People that work for the Trump administration, they could go places.
Yeah.
No one was kicking them out of restaurants.
Yeah.
No one kicked out. What was his name? I forget.
You said the Bush administration, right?
Bush administration or Obama administration.
Okay, yeah.
That wasn't happening.
Right.
Now individuals that work from the highest levels of the Trump administration, Stephen Miller's up there with everybody. I mean, he's one of Trump's closest advisors, all the way down to staffers.
Yeah.
Are being ostracized from the public realm.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I can cite when that was happening before.
Yeah.
In the United States, with the exception of maybe people accused of being communist during the McCarthy era.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
But those weren't government officials. Those were actors. Those were people in the public eye, or ordinary citizens who, like, this guy's gone to one too many funky meetings, so we're putting him on a list.
Yeah.
But to see officials for the Trump administration being kicked out with their families from places is a sign that people don't like what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So we'll have to see what happens next in terms of politics or the election. November's coming up, so we'll see what people do then. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
But what else? We were talking about how Obama, like, he had faults, obviously, right? But in terms of, like, his actual personal character, he was very pristine, and he had to be, because if he wasn't, he would have gotten destroyed.
Crucified.
If he did what Trump has done, he
wouldn't be president right now.
Yeah, no way.
He'd already be out the door.
Yep. And that's not to say that he didn't do awful things, because he did. You can or cannot make excuses about it being just a fact of the office, the position that he's in. I don't know. I don't like it either way. I guess that's just where I'm at, is when I hear about it, I'm like, that doesn't seem helpful.
Yeah. Just by the nature of being the president of the United States, you're going to have to make moral decisions that the ordinary citizen has never even been confronted with. And so it's hard to judge, what you would do in a situation. One of the easiest ways to criticize President Obama is that his use of drones in the Middle East is significantly higher than what President Bush was doing.
Yeah.
And it caused a lot of deaths in a multitude of different countries. And so that's one of his major criticisms. It's something that I've criticized him for in the past.
Me too.
But in saying that, the president is often confronted with moral conundrums that we are not.
Yeah.
But when you look at his behaviors and his moral decisions in comparison with Trump, in their administrations so far in the timeline that we're in, it seems more obvious to me. It seems just by looking at the surface of things that Obama's by far and away conducted a more moral presidency.
Yeah.
In the way that he speaks, in his actions, at every level.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to dive deep to figure that out. Like, it's just, it's on the surface obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, people might want to use that against him, or I don't know, man. It's just like with the birther thing, like the Obama birther thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things I don't understand. Well, I do. I understand it exactly. It's just tiring, I guess.
I just kind of want to mention to the audience real quick that like when we're having a conversation, it often seems like like if I were listening to our show, it would come across to me as we're both like very far left.
Oh yeah.
And that's not the case at all. We should
definitely clarify that.
Because of the political situation that we're in currently, it sounds like that, but that's not the case. I'm actually very conservative on a couple things.
Yeah.
I do have some far left ideas, but I'm generally in the middle, and it's just, I think because of the situation, the historical context in which we find ourselves, the conversations that we have ultimately have like pushed us a little to have conversations that sound like we're more in line with the left side of the political spectrum more often than not. But that's not necessarily the case all the time. So I just wanted to like clarify that to people who are listening to us.
Yeah, I said before, the way that I just put it is like, I'm not a Democrat. I vote Democrat. So it's not like a part of my identity. Mm-hmm. It's just something that I do because of the current context.
I wish I could remember his name. There was a prominent Republican strategist recently who defected from the Republican Party and said that, I forget his name, but he basically said, until the Republicans can figure out what's going on, you need to vote straight down the party line Democrat and show that you're not going to support.
Yeah,
because the party is being undone. It's like it has been poisoned. Like the well has been poisoned.
Yeah. And
he's saying like, I can't be a part of this. I wish I could remember his name, but
yeah. Just to be honest, in my most honest opinion, honestly,
okay,
I'm gonna be honest right now.
All right, you're gonna be honest with us.
Yeah. I think this is a long time coming. I think that what we've seen is like, I don't think Republicans, it's not that I think, I know the Republicans didn't used to be this way. They didn't used to be the same, right? And we've said this before, like if you look, the EPA was started by Nixon, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. And so things like that were being done. There was more concern for the environment. There was more concern for social well-being, even though, I won't stick to that too hard. But the point is, I think that there wasn't such a big divide between the academic or scientific community and Republicans. There might have been some, or just the need for exploration, like that was a big thing. Well, it looks like Trump might be getting back to that with Space Force, which I was
Space Force.
I was going to ask you about and what you thought, but just to finish my thought real quick, what was I saying anyway? I was talking about how it seems to have, but there was a certain amount of pandering that went on to like win elections, and that continued up until now, in which Trump has very specifically selected that minority community of very extreme thinkers, right? Like they were always attached, and it might be the same for Democrats too. So I guess that's also fair to say that, because I don't know how much do Democrats really, well, yeah, they do in some ways. Yeah, they sometimes pander to extremists in the same way.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
but they don't pander to anti-scientific thought a lot. Some of them do, right?
But well, you get your anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, they're part of the party,
left,
but you're less
sometimes
likely to hear politicians say, "Don't vaccinate your kids," or to actually stand on that platform.
Yeah,
right, and that's what I'm saying is the difference. Even though there's still going to be some things.
You're gonna get into those people who are like on the fringes of like the Green Party, stuff like that.
Yes. You'll get those as well. Maybe that's the equivalent to something like that happening.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go down this road, but Jill Stein has had some interesting connections with the Russian government as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, she's also said some pretty questionable things when it comes to vaccinations.
Yeah, and that's all about a foreign entity trying to fracture our political framework by creating dissenting parties within the two major political parties that we have. But
yeah,
I don't want to go down that road
today. Yeah, so Space Force.
I like if someone else was president, then I would probably be like, okay, I certainly don't want it to be called the Space Force.
I know, that's what I thought when I heard it too.
But I mean, dude, our government already has stuff in space.
Yeah, I know.
We're already, I mean, the Air Force operates up there.
Yep.
Every branch, the CIA's got stuff up there.
Yeah, what is this? What is this? Like,
I don't know. Do you remember when he wanted to start a joint cyber command with Russia?
No.
He wanted to do that.
Really?
What sense does that make?
I didn't hear anything about that, but that's crazy. What does that entail, by the way?
He wanted to like create some type of cyber
like
unit
sharing information.
It's like joint, with the Russian government. And I was like,
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, dude. No.
Yeah.
How do people still deny the connection between the Trump administration and Russia when stuff like that? Is there something I'm missing? Am I understanding what you're saying?
Yeah. And people were like, we're not going to do that. That's not going to happen.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
Do you understand what the Russians would do if we gave them everything that we
What's
knew?
the Republican response to that? Do you know, though?
I think it was no.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it was like, we're basically on board with all the other dumb stuff that you've done, but this
one's too far.
Yeah, can't do it.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, that's great.
That's a dumbed down version of it.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just like, how do you, if someone's giving an argument and they're like, he clearly has connections and ties with Russia to some extent, and then you're just like, case in point, what is the rebuttal to that?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's crazy, man. Well, we got how many more years? 2018, so
2020.
Yep, 2020. So we got 2 more years. Do you think he'll get reelected?
Well, it depends on how the Mueller, special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation goes.
Okay.
They just apparently obtained a bunch of documents from Eric Prince. Eric Prince is the founder of Blackwater. Mm-hmm. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. His sister-in-law is Betsy DeVos, the education.
Oh.
But he runs a bunch of private military organizations. And his goal right now is he wants private military organizations to basically take over the operations in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But he's had some interesting meetings with the Trump administration officials and prominent figures in Russia and some countries in the Middle East, and he's being looked at for having secret meetings with them. There's this like famous meeting in the Seychelles Islands. I don't know how to say it. That's okay. It's not going to hurt us. But I guess the special counsel is looking at him now, and that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what comes out with him.
Huh.
But it looks like Michael Cohen too, his former attorney, is going to flip because he's in a world of trouble. And if he flips, he's the one that's got all the evidence on Trump for whatever's happened.
Damn, I haven't been following this stuff at all.
If he flips, it's game over.
Damn. I haven't been following this stuff at all, so you're just telling me stuff. I just stopped paying attention.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, and that's what I like is that you're obsessed with your own things and I'm obsessed with my own things, and then we can kind of like, bounce them off each other.
The reason I'm obsessed with it is because this is like this is the biggest political
Jay,
event.
Definitely something Jay would be obsessed with too.
Yeah, and aliens.
Yeah.
So I'll figure out how to work aliens into this. I already mentioned Alex.
Yeah, I know.
The people at the top believe in interdimensional space beings controlling our government, folks. It's like, yeah, I don't think that.
Right.
And Alex Jones doesn't think that, but the people that he thinks that think that. Say like
people at the top, Joe.
Yeah.
People at
the top. But I'm obsessed with it because it to me it's the biggest political event that's probably going to happen in our lifetimes. Like what is happening right now is so important to us as a culture and a society that it seems like the only way for me to be a responsible citizen is to be aware of what's happening, because I want to be able to speak about it in an informed way as everything continues to unfold and come to fruition. But I've been following the stuff for like since 2015, man. Like I've been following this Trumpian whatever. I mean, we didn't really know about the Russia thing as significantly way back in 2015, but I started following him during the campaign.
Yeah.
For the presidency. And it's hard to remember all the things that have happened because so many things happened. And
that's very
again,
true.
Do you remember the other day we did the podcast where I was talking about how I have trouble remembering the details of how I came to my conclusions?
Yeah.
But I know that the conclusion I drew came from good information.
Yes.
That's kind of like where I'm at with the Trump administration and everything that's happened with the Russia investigation, because so much information is coming out on a daily basis because the White House is leaking information. People from the FBI are probably leaking information, potentially, I don't know, but all these sources at highest levels are leaking information because they're trying to spin things their own way.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to figure out what's going on, but I'm trying to pay attention to it because it's important.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me too.
So,
and that makes it difficult because, like, when I was talking to our friend who's a Trump supporter, that would happen. I would say something to him, and then I just was like, you can't see what's going on here, like you can't see this or that, but I would forget, and then I would go home and I would see something that he said 6 months ago, and I'm just like, oh yeah, he said that even more ridiculous thing that I completely forgot about.
I mean, our podcast is Currency of Discourse, so it's frustrating when you're having a conversation like that with someone and in your head you just want to say like, how do you not know? That doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you.
No.
I mean, because it doesn't make your argument look strong, and it only enforces what they think, because they're asking, well, show me what it is that you're so mad about, and you're like, just look around. You can't, because that's not that's not a sufficient argument.
It doesn't. Yep. Yeah, absolutely not.
But that's how I feel though too, because I've read so many articles, and spent so much time following this story that to me it's just like it's easy for me to be like, it really seems like the Trump administration is involved with Russian entities at some level.
Yeah.
You could say that like maybe Trump didn't know, but it sure seems like the people around him did. Campaign advisor Paul Manafort worked with the Ukrainian government. Michael Flynn has a relationship with Turkey and the Russians. He was our national security advisor for 16 days. There's Felix Slater, Don Jr. met in Trump Tower with the Russian officials. Eric Prince down in the Seychelles Islands.
Man,
Bill Moyer's website. He's a good source.
I
If you go to
recognize like 3 of those names.
Bill Moyer's website, there's tons more.
Yeah, I
But
bet.
if you go to Bill Moyer's website, he has like a timeline thing laid out, and he has all the like a bubble, like you can click on a person's name and see how they're connected to the Russian government.
What was it again?
Bill Moyer.
Bill Moyer.
It's like BillMoyer.com or something. But when you look at that, you're just like, oh man, like,
yeah, that's crazy.
And
dude.
so I don't know. I'm gonna be really fascinated to see how Robert Mueller and the special counsel handle this.
Yeah.
Just today on the news, some of the Republicans, I think I might say this wrong, on the House Intel Committee, want a list of all the individuals that are working for Robert Mueller. And, it just, why do they want that information? Do they want that because they want to leak information about the people that are working on that?
Yeah.
Or is it less malicious? I don't know. But everything, so many things on the Republicans, part of the Republican Party feel malicious at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I saw a video that was talking about, and we could talk about it because I know you don't want to compare what's happening to World War II, right? But there's a video that's talking about, I think it's fair to look at both the things that are common and the things that aren't common, right? And so it was talking about how some of the things that we typically see in like the rise of fascist leaders is like, one, they build a distrust in media outlets that attack them. So that's like the first thing that they do. Another one is that they put people in power because of their loyalty. They reward loyalty,
not their competency.
Yeah, not competency. Yeah, and it's just like, well, that makes perfect sense. And then you look at the Trump administration, it's like that's exactly what's happening, like he's even putting people in power that like once very much disagreed with him, but since they like got on board with him, he's willing to give them jobs now.
And what is he doing? What is it?
They get fed up and leave.
And something that he's doing to demonstrate that people who are loyal to him will be okay is he's talked about pardons a lot lately, and he's pardoned people.
Oh man!
In the last couple of months, and I think
that could be a
Scooter Libby. I think Scooter Libby was someone that he pardoned recently, and it was for things that. See, I can't speak in great detail on the stuff. I just remember the small things, but
no big.
The things that he was pardoned for correlate to what he might pardon some of his loyalists for in the future if they were to be indicted for something.
Man,
not an accident.
So you don't at all think that's an accident?
Of course,
dude.
Not.
That seems like such a dark thing. That comment to me seems like we're in troubled waters for real.
Yeah.
That really seems like that. Like once you're giving yourself the power to pardon very immoral and illegal behavior, that's not good.
No, it is not, my friend.
They run things. Like they're in charge. Yeah, I haven't been getting into the Russia thing. I usually just I think I might make people feel bad. Just because, I don't usually, follow news things. Like, I usually get a lot of my knowledge from books that are kind of, less common. So, and then I think it makes it sound like it's not like I'm watching the news or something necessarily. So, it just makes it sound like I'm...
I just...
I don't know.
I know this isn't a popular... people probably listening to this would probably laugh at this, but... I was watching an interview of Ralph Nader that Chris Hedges interviewed Ralph Nader, and Ralph Nader has a new book out. I actually kind of want to get it, called Breaking Up the Power or something like that. I can't remember the name of the title. It's something like that, Breaking Up the Power. But he was talking about how if you really want to affect change, on average, each congressional district has roughly like 750,000 people in that population.
Mm-hmm.
And you really only need 3,000 or 4,000 of that population to affect change. If you can get just that number of people, which is still a lot, but if you can get that number of people to agree on one thing,
then you have like
you can
control or something.
You can control your representative in Congress.
Okay.
That's enough individuals to affect change.
Wow.
And so for me, if that's true, if what he's saying is true, and he was saying that was his kind of like way of creating change, it's like
that seems doable. It's like a goal that you could create.
And that's why I think it's good sometimes to return. Like I think our mistake sometimes, like, because we think of like the big ideas, so we always go to the top. Like we're talking about President Trump all the time.
Yeah,
we're talking about him all the time. What we really should be talking about is our representative that represents us directly.
Yeah,
because that's the person that we have closest contact to, and returning things to the local and the state, because geographically speaking, you can reach out and touch those things.
Yeah.
Whereas DC is so far away from us.
You're right.
It's like this untouchable thing that we really can't get to. But we can get to our representative, and we can mobilize a small number of people to agree on one thing. That is possible and achievable.
Yeah.
And if everyone's doing that in their own districts, they're taking that personal responsibility, you can create those changes that, we're often talking about.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was just like, okay, I can do that. So I think it's good to.
Are you sure you want to do that though?
Get caught up. In my heart, I want to do that. Now, in real life, like I don't.
I was just saying. Yeah, I do want not to.
I do want to do that.
No, I want to too. I think it's a good idea. I was just talking about you specifically.
Yeah, no, I do want to do that.
Oh, okay.
Which is why I'm trying to get in the line of work that I'm trying to get into.
Right, I know. That's why I thought you might not want to do that.
Oh no, I think that path leads me closer to creating that.
Okay.
But when I heard that statistic, I was like, oh, that's good to know. That's good information.
Was it a statistic or was it an estimate?
He was basically saying like you only need 1% of a congressional district to align on one thing to create change, because people are so apathetic and they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
If you can just mobilize a small group of people to get the attention of the representative, you can create change.
Gotcha.
And that's probably even more so true at the state level. So if you're talking about an Ohio representative and not a representative of Ohio that works in the federal government, that's probably even more true.
Yeah.
And so if we were talking to our representative for just the state of Ohio, not to the federal government, we would have even more of a powerful voice, because again, he answers to Columbus, not to DC.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Okay, so can I say something else too?
Go ahead.
So there's a book, and I'm gonna butcher this too. I butcher every idea. I know. I think there's a book out there called Positive Peer Culture. Okay, and I learned about this book when I was working as a wilderness in wilderness therapy. There's this idea called, I think maybe we have talked about this before or not, so stop me, but I don't think we put it on the podcast. There's this idea called the negative Indigenous leader. Okay? Have I talked to you about this before?
Yeah.
And the negative Indigenous leader is, someone who is in control of a group of people and is basically creating chaos. But they have so much power that like let's say you have a negative Indigenous leader in a group that you operate in, right? And he or she is creating so much chaos that they need to be like ousted, right? But you can't go after them directly because they have too much power. And so to go after Trump directly is ineffective. Like everything that hits him, it doesn't touch him. He's untouchable, it seems like. So what you have to do is you have to go after, like if you have a Republican representative in your state, someone that doesn't have the power that Trump has, you can affect that person that's in support of Trump, that political leader. And I think that's the exact strategy that what's happening with people like Sarah Sanders and Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, all these people and Trump staffers not being able to do things in the public sphere.
Yeah.
It's because people are saying, well, we've tried going after Trump. But because he's our negative indigenous leader and it's not working, so we have to go after the people that we have to affect change where change can be created, and that's at the bottom levels. Damn. Because those staffers, if women are ignoring them, man, that's it. What man is going to stick around if women are saying no because of who you follow? I mean, just basic male biology. It's just like they're either going to quit supporting Trump or they're all going to become incels. It's one of the two. And when you can't go to a public restaurant because of who you're supporting, it's going to make you think twice. Yeah. So if we want to affect change at the federal level, really our best course of action is at the local level. Is my whole long rant way of saying that.
Yeah, that we should do it locally. Yeah. That was definitely a good strategy, and I've been thinking about more and more. And I even like going there. It like starts at the top, and it starts external, and eventually it gets to internal. Like eventually you say like, really the thing that I need to change is myself. Like that's where you end up. Like that's what it ends up all being about.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Peterson talks about that all the time. Right. He's like, okay, if you're trying to create change in society, the odds are if you create a change is it's going to be worse. Like the odds are is that you're going to get a worse outcome as opposed to your best outcome. Yeah. So the best thing that you can do is put your house in order. Yeah. You put your house in order. You make your close environment as best as you can, right? And if everyone is doing that, just fixing the stuff that's in their sphere of influence. Yep. Now you have a better society suddenly. Yeah. And you want to create. Like he was saying, whatever the doctor's oath is first do no harm. Is essentially what he's saying is like if you, whatever it was you just said, that's it.
Yeah. The Hippocratic oath. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And what he's saying is that like if you're, and I think this is a good caution for you and me because we both talk about wanting to create change. Yeah. Is you have to consider like if you get what you want, right? If you get the change that you desire. What is going to be the worst unintended consequence of that? You have to be able to answer that question because you have to decide if you're willing to take that risk.
That's a good thought.
Because it's from a conservative perspective, we've been talking about being on the left all the time. From a conservative perspective, it might be better to leave things the way they are than create some revolutionary change. And hope for the best, but what actually happens is the worst possible outcome of that change. Yeah. And so I think for you and
that's what I mentioned Kant before. He's the sociologist who said that like you can't have change without conflict. That is what brings change. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about essentially the amount of friction that you could create in change, because if you create too much of it, things will catch on fire. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. But what you were saying earlier was making me think about the 100th monkey concept, which is basically like if you... I'm going to mess it up, but it doesn't matter because it's not a valid idea anyway. It's just cool in concept, but it sounds a lot like the 100th monkey, what you were saying, even though it's not the same. So the 100th monkey... So the idea is that someone was... watching a monkey on like an island or a beach or something, and they were trying to open something up, and they used a tool to do it, like a rock or something. And someone who was observing that noticed that eventually another monkey noticed that that's the way to do it and did it as well, right? And basically the idea is that it happened very slowly over time, that monkeys in that area started to do it, but by the time it hit the 100th, that's when it like took off. So after that 100th monkey mark, then it was seen in like all the surrounding islands like almost instantly. That's the idea. Now that ends up not being a valid way to look at that because there are criticisms of it, but it's still the same concept, and I think it is an interesting concept to not see the small as small, but to see it as like on the way to big, or that's how it is the micro change adding up that creates the macro change.
Yeah, I think our time is probably best served by going after what is achievable.
Yeah.
And that's probably more effective at the local level, and that benefits you as an individual because that's the environment that you actually live in. The policies that the federal government implement don't often affect you as much as the policies that are implemented at the local and state level, just because it's so far away from us. It's the state politics and local politics that affect you the most, and that's where you have most influence and most power. So why not play there? And I don't know if it's just because it's less attractive because it's so in your face, and DC is just like,
it's like Hollywood or something.
Yeah,
that's what I think. It's like where the celebrities are, and then your local people aren't really That's probably what it is. It has something to do with the way that we venerate celebrities.
Yeah. And we're caught up in it.
No, I think I just fucked that word up. But whatever.
But we're caught up in it too, I think. Well, I am. I'm caught up in it.
Yeah. No, we just did that, didn't we? That's exactly what we just did.
Yeah.
We sat here and talked about the star almost the whole episode and didn't mention anything local.
But the popular saying now is that Trump is not the cause, he's the symptom. Yeah, and that's true.
No, that's absolutely true. And a lot of people treat him like he is the cause, and that's where I think we would probably diverge with liberals a lot in that concept. Yeah, we don't think he's the cause. We think he's the symptom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just so in your face now.
Yeah.
Like everything that was like in the underbelly of the Republican Party that was like lurking way at the bottom, and
it came to the
Republicans were like, it's there, but
and we need them.
It was teased so much and encouraged just enough that like it came to the surface, and now it's in front of all of us.
Yeah, it was just sitting there waiting for somebody to use. I mean, that's what it was.
Maybe.
That's what it was. But maybe. I don't know. It worked.
This is so random. There's this really old cartoon called Nemo in Slumberland. Really old cartoon. I seen it when I was a kid. And he gets like shuffled away. He has like a dream. He gets shuffled into this like random like world. It's like this old kingdom. And he's given these keys, and they're like, you never use this key for this door. We never go there, right? There's so much power and darkness there that we leave alone. And so he opens it up, and this like black ooze stuff comes pouring out into the kingdom and corrupts everything. And it's just, I feel like that's a good analogy to what's happening right now. Is like we had this thing. They're like, we don't go there. We know it exists. We know it exists. And in American society, we've got some shit, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep it locked up, and someone opened the door.
Yeah.
And now it's out.
Yeah, you're right.
And we got to deal with it now.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens.
I guess so. You want to call it there?
Yeah.
All right. You're listening to Currency of Discourse podcast. Thanks for taking the time to listen. If you've somehow come across this episode, please give us some feedback. Have a good night.
Have a nice night.